tell you good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Yeah, susceptible time before the moment flies. Ooh, so tell you good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Ooh, susceptible time before the moment flies. It's not a problem, no, 'cause I know what I'm getting into. Yes. Yeah, and nothing can stop me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Either way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell you good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Yeah, susceptible time before the moment flies. Before it flies. So tell you good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Susceptible time before the moment flies.
All right, everybody, what is going on? What is up, good people? Welcome back to the Locked In podcast, the big 113. It's not actually a big episode, just 113, but the second official one into 2023. Guys, as always, I'm your host, Steve Ushler, and joined back at the podcast after a 2-month hiatus is G Mac, George Menchai, my co-host for the podcast. George, what's going on, man?
What's up, bro? What's going on, world? Yo, I love the background, man. That shit's dope, bro. We'll talk about it in a second, but the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm back, man. You know, I've been going for close to probably 2 months, maybe a little even over now. You know, I did a little video on YouTube and on IG and on Facebook that explained kind of we had a trip, we came back, and I had to just take care of some stuff. But I'm back, man. I've been watching a lot behind the scenes. I've been still being involved with the podcast somewhat, and I know you definitely did a good job on that. We'll get to that much later as well, and much more. But all I can say is I'm back.
Yeah, let's go, man. Yeah, and the background right there. Yeah, well, welcome back, number one. Glad to have you back on here, man. As always, the background, it ties into tonight's episode, which is going to be escaping the Matrix. And no, we're not talking about the movie, guys. We're not talking about the movie. A little bit different than that, but I mean, some things from the movie actually do kind of tie into the legitimate thing from real life. This is real life.
It's not about the movie, but it is kind of the movie because the movie is based on what we are experiencing and talking about in an indirect form, so to speak. I mean, it's not exactly the movie, but those movies were ahead of the time, bro. I have a story about this. I don't think it's appropriate for TV or whatever for YouTube, but I don't know, man. It's a little too real. I might have told you in the past, but maybe we'll talk about it later. I definitely had an epiphany, a little vision, if you will, of the Matrix and connected with landing on the moon, the way the system works, Instagram, daily lives, and a lot more, bro. 1999, which is the last year of the last millennia and the last century as well, and also the year the movie came out, 1999, the first Matrix. So I had a whole sort of like a not a deja vu moment, an epiphany. It was like a vision and a crazy experience one time, bro. It was in 2018. That's when I had it, and it told me a lot, even about Facebook and Instagram actually, but definitely doing the Matrix. So maybe I'll share the story later, maybe I won't. We'll see. It's a lot of details, but it's a very deep story.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, man. If we got the time to allow it, man. Yeah, for sure. Feel free to share that later on. I'm gonna play the intro in a second, but tonight's episode essentially escaping the Matrix. What it essentially means is deprogramming yourself from society. So, we're so wrapped up. We're programmed a certain way, right, from a young age. Most of us, of how the society looks at you and how you're supposed to live your life, right. In order to really, I personally feel everybody's life is different, but in order to really achieve that top version of yourself, it requires a little bit of deprogramming. So we're going to go through steps tonight and essentially how to deprogram yourself, what it essentially means in greater detail, escaping the matrix, things like that. Our plan is to keep this to about an hour. So we start a little late, so maybe 7:40 would maybe be the goal here to finish up on that. I do want to make a disclaimer before we actually play the intro here, guys. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, please smash that subscribe button and double check, because you might think you're subscribed. So, walk it back, double check, make sure you're subscribed. It really, really helps us out. And our channel has been growing. The last 2 weeks, we have almost doubled our subscriber count. So it's important to us to make sure you're subscribed. You might watch us on Facebook, still go over to YouTube and subscribe. If you watch us on YouTube and not on Facebook, still go over and like the page and follow us. Give us a follow, because it definitely helps us out. Comments always help.
We have some algorithm too. It helps.
Yeah, we appreciate your feedback. Guys, we've been getting set up on TikTok and YouTube, so check out our YouTube Shorts content. We got some good stuff going on over there. Same thing with TikTok. You can check us out. We got some good stuff related to the NFL right now, especially with the playoffs, because we do talk sports here. You'll see some personal development stuff, some stuff related to music, travel, fashion, as the year goes on, because it's a lot of what we talk about here. So make sure to follow us, guys. Make sure to subscribe. And if you see something you like, you want to contribute to the conversation essentially tonight, comment in. We appreciate your feedback. We're going to put your comment on the screen, and we'll go back and forth. If you, for whatever reason, you don't want your comment on the screen, just tell us. We won't throw it up there, but we will still engage with you. It always helps us. And number 3, just sit back, relax. Like I always say, grab something refreshing to drink and watch and enjoy the show tonight. Whether you're listening on Spotify or you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. It's 2023. Let's focus in and succeed. So that's got to be the new one, right? We always said be true and be you in 2022. In 2023, focus in and let's succeed. That's the big one, guys. Let's grow. Let's learn. With that being said, I'm going to play the intro, and we'll get right into the topic tonight. We won't hold you guys up too much. So, George, I'll see you on the other side, man.
See you on the other side, bro. See you in a couple of seconds.
Yep. All right, guys. So for those of you who have tuned in after the intro, as we said tonight, we are talking about escaping the matrix, essentially breaking societal conditions, not conforming to society, what society essentially tries to push us to conform to. We do have George back on the podcast tonight after a 2-month hiatus. So it should be a good episode to hop into it. This is essentially because it took 2 weeks behind the scenes. second episode into 2023. So I already stated, if you're on YouTube, go back and make sure you're subscribed. We're really growing right now. We're taking off. So essentially become a part of this platform and more coming. Hell yes, dude. Let me check and see who. I always like to give people their credit when it comes to the Facebook stuff. So let me go and just double check real quick.
Go ahead, man.
I thought it was Bryce. It's my boy Bryce because we were just kind of talking behind the scenes for this. So Bryce commented in more coming. Absolutely, brother. Let's grow. Let's explode this platform, man.
Yeah, man, we gotta definitely get into some of these interesting topics. And truth be told, fair enough to say that we gotta definitely talk more about stuff like these. Like you said, how to invest money instead of like just investing for the short term, invest for the long term. How to don't be controlled so much. Try to control your own schedule, yourself a little more. Make the right moves. Be behind scenes, not so much flashing too much. Even goes. I mean, I said something earlier, bro. Even goes about some relationships sometimes. These are like the best ones are the ones kept more secret. Like you can post a little, but don't post everything IG within your relationship with your significant other. And I think that ties a good point to a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, and we have kind of covering a little bit.
Yeah. So exactly. So I'm just gonna kick it off. We can go back and forth here. Essentially, escaping the matrix, right? This is something that's been trending. I thought this was something popular. We could really utilize this. I actually want to also, speaking of trending, something new. I want to try to throw some music in the background. I don't know if it can help people.
Might music helps.
Yeah, smooth music. Let me know if this is a little bit too loud. You can't realistically hear us. I can always increase the volume or turn it down a little bit. But I'm adjust it just a little bit. Okay. Escaping the matrix. So the way that most of us live, right? It's we wake up early in the morning, we dress up, we drive straight to some workplace, we work 8 hours, we come home, we surf the internet, we watch Netflix, and we go to sleep. That is what the majority of people do in this world. That's, or at least here in the United States, how most people live their lives. It's a certain way that we're programmed, and we honestly have come to really see this type of living as essentially normal, not really realizing that this is a way that we've been programmed to live. So all throughout our years, right, what are we told? We're told to be nice to people. We're told to conform to some type of religion. We're told to go to school. We're told to, after school, go to college, possibly. I mean, it's a big thing here. We're told to go to college. We're told to, after college, get a good job with a good salary, work for a boss for 40 to 50 years until retirement. And after retirement, maybe you'll have some time left in your life where hopefully you're in good health still at that point, where you can just utilize whatever money you saved for retirement until you essentially die. That is essentially how the majority of people are programmed in the world that we live in today, not really realizing we see it as healthy, but it's actually, in a way, kind of a sickness. Like, life can actually be beautiful in its own way, but yeah, instead of making the most out of it, we honestly waste it in suffering and conflict and doing the exact same thing every single day. Now, consistency with things is important, but it's definitely but in order to escape the matrix and the way we're programmed, in order to really live life to a point of liberation and really be able to discover yourself and live life to your greatest potential, I really think it is essential to be able to break out of that matrix and at least break down some of that programming. Now, there's nothing wrong. I want to make a disclaimer. There's nothing wrong with working for somebody else. Not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is going to be somebody who's going to grow a company and work for themselves, and that's okay. We need people in the world that work, right? If you have a company and you need people to hire, that's okay. But in other ways, we can break the program. It doesn't always have to just be your job, but the way we grow our money, the way we take care of ourselves, we're really programmed to be very unhealthy, especially here in the United States. Majority of people can tell you what they're binging on Netflix at the moment, but they can't realistically tell you the last time they've been in a gym or maybe ate healthy. It's honestly kind of a sickness when you think about
Culture
it.
here, you know.
We're not really prioritizing ourselves a lot of the time, and there's important steps that we can take to really break down this programming. I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that, man, but we are programmed a certain way
Yeah,
in the society
I
for sure.
want to add to it a little bit. Basically, same thing you're saying. Like, it's just like a programming thing, man. It's just kind of like a conditioning thing, and a little bit how we were raised, how we're taught, and what we're taught, and just like it goes everything. Because these institutions are kind of like built you up to be a certain way. You want to get a certain age. You think like by 29, 30 should be advance your career, get married by 31, have kids, and then live his life and all. But they always kind of like tell you like you got to be like a worker. Only nowadays it's actually a thing you can say. It's activities out there. People can actually invest and learn how to not just be like a worker and just a follower, but kind of like a thinker and a guy that can kind of like a builder for himself. It's okay to work. We're not knocking the 9 to 5 type of structure, but a lot of times people get caught up in that and they don't really enjoy life as it is, or take the time to understand what they're doing. They're just chasing too much of the money, and then it's like sometimes things get messy in their head and all that. They're also not keeping up with health, with family, and life is too short to be like so like spread out. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like I get it, but then again, you should take some time to talk to your family, reach out to people you haven't talked to in a while. And there's some small stuff that happened, whatever, bury the hatchet, or whatever the case may be, advance further. Don't just like work a job for like 15 years. I worked a job for almost 9 years once that it gave me a lot, but it didn't really take me what I needed to be. So
Yeah, you really need to question.
I could have done more.
Yeah, no matter what you're doing in life, right? No matter if you're exercising a certain way, or you're eating a certain way, or you're working living a certain way, you're working at a certain company. You always got to question: is this contributing to my soul plan in this life? What I want to do? What am I learning from this job that I'm working at, this career that I'm working at? Because we wake up every day with tasks, right? Like every single day you go to work, you have certain tasks. But realistically, when you take away the big picture, what are we really learning? Is this something that I can take with me and I can like contribute this to my own life when I'm not working here anymore? So it's something to really question. I just want to make the thing. Layla commented in and she said, "Good night, fellas. Go Birds."
Not sure if it's me or Steve. You there, bro? Hello. What's up right now?
But the Eagles. All right, there we go. You hear me? Gotcha. All right, so I just wanted to say, Layla commented and she said, "Good night, fellas," and she also said, "Go Birds," and she put the Eagles emoji. Definitely go Birds for sure.
Go Birds for sure. Great things.
The Eagles are playing the 49ers this weekend. It's going to be a hell of a time. We win the game, we go to the Super Bowl. So if you guys want to check out some more NFL content, go to our YouTube Shorts page, by the way. That's not really with tonight's topic, but, I always appreciate some Go Birds comments in here. So thank you, Layla. Check out our YouTube Shorts content for my predictions on this week's NFC Championship. Anyway, back to the conversation. You always have to take away what are we really learning from every experience that we have. So I personally believe there are 8 different things. From the research I've looked at, there are 8 things that we can really do starting today. This might not apply to your situation, but there's 8 things. So I'm sure one of them at least to break free from the shackles of societal programming and to break free from this matrix. One of them is you can break the shackles of dogmatic religion. So what I mean is maybe you were born into a family who was a certain religion, Catholic, whatever, and maybe they lived their life a certain way. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of religion in your life. However, I think the problem kind of comes in is when everything you do throughout your life is guided by what is being preached, what is being taught in that religion. See, I think that's where it becomes a problem. When you literally just take every single thing from that religion and you make it about your entire life, you don't question anything, you just follow it blindly.
Yep, everything.
I think that becomes a problem. It imposes you what to think. It tells you what not to do. And I think that that's problematic because I think that we all should be free thinkers. It tells you what's
Free
good
will.
and bad, what's right and wrong. It prevents people from ultimately living spontaneously, living your purpose.
He
living
restrains
to
you a
your
lot,
aura.
bro, in many ways.
It prevents you from seeking truth.
There.
And if you're in a very religious family,
You can plug your mentality.
yeah, it prevents you from having the courage to speak up because maybe you're afraid of how your family's going to judge you. You have to
It
break
gives you a lot of
through.
judgment zones and all that. Yeah.
have
But
to
religion
have
is good though. It's good to faith in something, but you should kind of like not balance your whole life around it, or just like try to like always like share it to others that don't want to maybe hear about it. Also, you should really not talk about that stuff too much with others, like as they say. But like you said, bro, I agree with the point that you made. It's a good point that kind of you're not really living if you're letting them dictate everything you're saying. Don't mean you can go to church and pray and have that's great, but you got to know how to like if you're gonna be religious, be both kind of like diplomatic and also use like the right mindset, logic, and all that. Just don't be guided by that. If you're about astrology or whatever, alchemy or stuff like that, then that's your business. But just kind of like follow the trend a little, but also don't follow the trend. Kind of like be a free thinker, but also don't say that's the only way or because that's how you see it. Don't be too judgmental. Sometimes people that are way too religious in that sense, like what you're trying to say, are a little uptight. I feel like, and don't see the things how they are. But that's not here nor there because everybody's a little different. You know what I mean? But that's a good point, though, Steve-O. And also, like you said, just because you go to church don't mean that you can, have a 9 to 5, but you're investing all the time, you're building, and you have like a nice, stack of money. Now, next thing you start a business, you start applying things, you need the right one, you live a certain way. But I mean, what I would just say, it's always nice to watch a good old Bible movie, religious movie. With nothing wrong with that, It's just that, like you said, you got to think a little bit for yourself and not be just dictated or preached, if for lack of better terms,
Exactly. I feel like religion can either improve or ruin your life. Essentially, it depends. A little bit of organization is important, right? It comes with religion, but the problem is when you blindly follow everything, you don't question anything. I think it becomes a problem. That kind of leads me into my next point. You need to stop giving your power away to external authority. We tend to just we support corrupted politicians, right? This is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Ever since the Donald Trump Hillary Clinton election in 2016, I feel like this specifically on the political side has really skyrocketed. You see people that are either I'm for the left and I'm super Democrat and liberal, or you got people on the right who are like I'm super conservative, like F these liberal losers. You got people that are we're more divided on the political side, whether you're red or blue, and it's crazy to me, to be honest, because at the end of the day, these corrupted politicians are people you've never met in your entire life. Now, I'm not saying all politicians are corrupt, but a lot of them are. And the problem is when you tend to just blindly follow these people.
Political affiliations and parties.
They could give a rat's ass about you. They could give a shit about your life. At the end of the day, a lot of times they're there to stir up controversy. And the problem is when you sit there and you watch the television, you listen to the radio, you hear these things, they get you all riled up, they get you frustrated. At the end of the day, you're going to wake up the next day. Life goes on. It just does. And these people should not have power over you. At the end of the day, yes, the economy can go a certain way, but every single day you wake up with the mission and the purpose to live the life that you want to live. You wake up with it. If you live in this country, in the United States of America, you have the freedom to wake up every single day and make the decision of what you're going to do. Yeah. Yes, there's external circumstances. Yeah, there's economic circumstances. But still, you have to still get up every single day and put the work in to grow into the being that you want to be. At the end of the day, if you want a true positive change in the world, you have to stop obeying authority figures and waiting for somebody to essentially save you and start taking responsibility in your own hands. When COVID-19 hit, if you didn't have a second source of income and you got laid off, what happens? Are the politicians going to help you? No, they're not going to help you. They're not going to make this magical thing. Now, people like getting handouts with the stimulus checks and everything like that, but it all goes back into the economy one way or another. That little bit of stimulus money compared to what you could have did if you made a second source of income is nothing.
You definitely exhausted those funds, by now, but people were getting used to that.
It's okay to support certain people, but don't take every single thing that somebody tells you for face value. Don't ever not question authority, because when you blindly follow someone similar to religion, and you blindly follow somebody, it means you're not free thinking. You're just agreeing with them because you support them. You should always question things. And some of the most successful people, and I'm talking people who are multimillionaires that I know, they question authority a lot. They have the courage to not give a F. Like they're going to question authority because not everything that is said to them benefits them. You got to understand that. Another thing I would say, question the dominant economic system that's around you. You know, money is created out of debt. It is essentially loaned from banks, and our economic system is based essentially on consumption. So people are always have to buy and sell stuff in order to keep the money circulating in the economy. It's honestly, you have to question the economics. So I'm not sure if you have anything on that, but the economic system in this country, it's you have to question it. A lot of people think that things like debt are bad, and we don't really know enough, right? Like, if you want to break free from the chains, you need to really educate yourself on the economy and on finances.
Very good point. Yeah, you should know more than you just, which is seen a surface, more than scratching the surface, because you might know a few things, but like get an RIA plan, retirement funds, retirement plans. I mean, obviously, get a certain age, you got to think about a will and all that, but that's later on in life, per se, not so much when you're younger, like around our age group. But it's always good to think about that. Another thing, like you said, bro, look at your debt, look at your credit, because look how much in debt you are. Loans are a big part of it, which we're probably not going to dig too much in that direction, but we can mention that. So knowing these things, to try to break away from the chains and the limit society, and the whole the matrix, if you will, that's really important, like you said. Maybe financial freedom, and also knowing how to invest money, and be in the system a little, make money as much as you can for yourself. Some people do work under the table, and they try to do what they gotta do, but ultimately, is that to cheat the system? It's just kind of like finesse a little, to you kind of like live a good life, and you could keep building it. Possibly, you can be put a position to employ others, help others, and you got like something for yourself, real estate, Bitcoin, maybe a business, etc. Things that we've talked about and that we've been mentioning. You know what I mean? I know we talked about some of the stuff with Bill, with James, Manny mentioned some of this, but working at the club, I met a lot of people that do real estate and are in the business, and we had conversations and all that, and good conversations. There's even some guys on the show.
I mean, essentially, there's always more debt than money in our economy. This is what a point I want to make: is there's always more debt in our economy than actual money, which means people are competing in a market for never.
Always more hardship.
They're never satisfied. What this ultimately leads to is inequality and social conflict. So you have to recognize, you really need to recognize
social structure is not the same anymore.
Yeah,
well, they never were, but
you need to question the economy. You know what I mean? One thing that people tend to think is wrong, and here's the problem, is debt is a bad thing. Now, certain debt is, and I think we actually had this discussion a couple months ago out in Miami. I know I was talking to Marius about it. Debt essentially can be a bad thing, but that can also be used as a tool. So consumer debt, if you're gonna rack up things on like liabilities, like clothes, you're gonna go buy just depreciating assets, any liabilities that you buy, consumer debt is bad. You don't, because it doesn't work for you. Now, if you're buying assets with debt, you're essentially leveraging other people's money. You're leveraging a bank's money, and that can actually be for a good thing. Say you're utilizing that money to buy your first real estate investment property, or something that's going to gain you money. It's an asset. Using debt is actually not a bad thing. Right. It becomes a problem when all you're doing is purchasing liabilities with your debt, something that's not going to make you money back. So if you're buying assets that and you've done the research and they can appreciate in value, and you'll be able to pay that debt off and gain a profit on it, it's different. But it's essentially at that point you're leveraging other people's money. So if you're leveraging other people's money for consumer debt, that's not a good thing, because at the end of the day, that's not something that's going to make you money, and essentially you will be in a hole of debt. And consumer debt is ironically it's like one of the biggest sources of debt we have in this country, because people just want to buy flashy items. They'd rather just buy liabilities. One of the other points I have, you can probably talk a little bit about this, detaching yourself from consumerism. So we live in a consumer-based culture. Most of us are conditioned to believe that money can buy everything that we need, including happiness, right? How many times have we been told money does not buy happiness? One thing I will say, and I always say this, money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure as hell opens a lot of doors for you. It provides you with more opportunities and more experiences than you can have in this life that we have for how many years we live. Money can open doors for you in this life that you
Yeah,
cannot experience when you don't have money.
I feel you, bro. I think it's safe to say that money, maybe money can't buy you happiness, but money can make you a little happy. There's a little difference, but if you really listen to it, like money can make you happy, but in the long run, it can't just buy you happiness. You got to be a little bit happy within, and have that feeling inside. You're alive. You should be grateful. I think gratitude's got a lot to do with it too, bro. Honestly, and we talked about it. You mentioned as well in the past. Exactly about with the matrix and everything else, and escaping the system and living a little different. Having gratitude, staying humble but staying sharp, and doing a lot of things behind the scenes. Sharpening your pencil. What I mean? Sharpening your tools, learning new skills, or just trying to get involved and do some research. I think, like you said, questioning the marketing strategies or questioning the way people are making money, whether on YouTube, whether on stocks, whether the economy is going, and finances. That's a great point. And like you said, also don't be too materialistic. I think materialism can be definitely, as can be sensationalism too, which is a little different. But materialism can be also when you just want to buy these things, you buy them, but then you know what you do for them, what you did with them. Like, oh, I bought this pair of sneakers, I bought all this stuff, but do I really need it? Sometimes you know what you need more than what you really want and what you crave. You know what I mean? Also have a kind of pump up the brakes a little on the spending habits. You know what I mean? Which I've done as well, by the way. And I've seen the difference, and a lot of people can say the same thing too. That's just one of the points, and I'll get to some of my points a little later. But I want to continue, give you the floor again and let you finish. But that's one of the things. I do agree with you though. Definitely. You know what I mean? Like don't just money's very very important. It opens a lot of doors. It should not just be all about money. It should also be about the networking, the connection that you invest in money and use it. Being about money, but not just to make money, but make money and invest the right way. So now you're working less and making more money, if that makes sense. They always say, make money talk, make the money, money flow and work for you. Don't work for it all the time. That's one of the kind of the ways, you know what I mean? I mean, there's many different elements to it, different, approaches and all that. But again, buying assets helps and all that. But knowing what to do research. And if you don't know as much, ask somebody. There's always people that can help you. We talked about Skillshare in the past. We're definitely not promoters for Skillshare. Let's be clear on this, the disclosure. But we advertise that you can learn a lot on Skillshare about many different subtopics and topics and stuff. Finance world, in a blog world, video world. Using program software. Getting courses, real estate. It's very useful. Sites like that. So I think that also comes in handy with the ways of staying ahead of the game, if you will. In the matrix, bro.
Absolutely. I think the problem with consumerism, money doesn't buy happiness. It opens doors, but it doesn't buy happiness, right? Because buying things, like when you go shopping, it provides it fills a temporary void. After we still tend to feel empty. So that's the thing. You have to detach yourself from consumerism. You have to find happiness in other areas of your life outside of money. Because money is just, at the end of the day, it's just a fixated thing. All it is money is a tool. Money is a tool. It's not everything in the world. Like I said, it's very important.
I respect that, bro. Money could buy you a lot of things, but you can't. Also, another thing, money can always buy you. You can buy cars and clothes and literally buy more money if you invest in a certain way, and there's really ways to increase income. But money doesn't always relate to it and buying you respect and buying you love that you need from your folks and peers. It can a little open the doors and put you in a position to be all respect with your money, but sometimes people just don't use you their money, or they don't respect you, especially if you don't respect yourself. If you don't represent yourself as a real man, a real individual, or a woman, or whatever. You know what I mean? You identify as, if you don't present yourself like a real human being, individual that can be smart, like clear in the head, does research, can hold conversations and all. You can have money, but if people just look at you like, he's got money, but he's just a drunk or he's a weirdo. I mean, you're just like a buffoon in a suit, and that's also not good neither. Another point.
Yeah, it's not, man. It's not. Wanted to go. Yeah, Mary. Before we hop to the next point, Mary's actually commented on it. Put this up. So Mary stated, he said, most people spend beyond their means, and it causes issues down the line. Yeah, it's absolutely true. People spend beyond their means. It depends on what. Yeah, like let me clarify that. They spend beyond their means on liabilities. So what they essentially are buying are things that are not going to give them money, and that's where it causes issues down the line. I do say that debt is not necessarily a bad thing if you're buying assets. Essentially, at that point, that's actually a good thing because you're leveraging somebody else's money to purchase the. It's going to make you money. You'll be able to pay that debt off, and you'll be able to pay that debt off and make a profit. Grant Cardone talks about this a lot, and he's big time in real estate. If you guys don't know who Grant Cardone is, I mean, you should know who Grant Cardone is. Look him up, and you can learn from him the 10x rule and all that. But you want to honestly leverage people's debt. People that I know that are multimillionaires, they do. That's what they utilize. They utilize other people's debt to buy assets. Marius, you're right, though. Most people in this country specifically, but around the world as well, they spend beyond their means on liabilities, and that's where it causes stress and issues down the line. Liabilities aren't going to generate you money. I mean, you can buy something and then resell it on eBay or something, but liability essentially, is something that's not going to appreciate in value. It's going to depreciate. You could buy jewelry and then resell it for a markup or something that's going to appreciate. Essentially, at that point, it's considered an asset. But you buy liabilities, you're losing money. So I'm not saying you can't buy liabilities. I'm not saying you can't buy cars. I'm not saying you can't buy nice clothes. You can. But when you spend that money that you don't have on those things, that's when it becomes a problem. You're right. So also see a comment in here. It says there's a lot of propaganda in the mainstream via the Matrix. This is all on purpose to control people and to keep them in certain positions. Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. Again, I just want to give the credit where it's due with the comments. Kind of wish StreamYard had a better filtering system with that, but it doesn't look like they do. So I think it's on the other page. No. No. Okay. Yeah, no, it's our boy Rob. Actually, Rob said that. So there's a lot of propaganda in the mainstream via the Matrix. Yeah, it's all on purpose. It's to control people. Society doesn't want you to grow. I mean, let's just go back to what I was saying on the political side of it, and not just listening to what authority has to tell you, not just blindly accepting authority. When COVID-19 hit, right?
In a different way.
And unemployment happened. They gave out those stimulus checks. People started to rather not work, and they said, give us more stimulus checks. You see, but what they don't recognize is society is in a way, what they're doing is your government actually has control over you at that point, because instead of just brushing up on your skills,
leverage.
Yeah, you have no leverage in that position. Essentially, the government is giving you a handout.
Money.
Now, people needed it; they got laid off, right? But the problem is when you rather just stay unemployed, not brush up on your skills, not learn. Guess what? The people that were grinding and were putting the work in, now you're behind. Now you're behind because those people were putting the work in when those other people were just sitting back. It was crazy. Liquor stores were still open. You could still go to the store and buy liquor. You could buy alcohol. You could sit back and watch Netflix. And, society, in a weird way, the government wanted you to do that. They wanted you to stay home.
They wanted you indirectly to do something, but they wanted you to follow their lead a little. You know what I'm saying? But indirectly, they're doing some other shit, that probably wasn't, since we're younger, we always heard stories about this, but they will still keep you under the system with a leverage. You said, but you can have, own property and all that, but only certain people, the elite were the elite, you're the rich, or you're the filthy, up rich, and then you're the rich here, then the middle class, blue collar, middle class, and sort of third class, more poor, and then homeless. It's maybe 5-6 stratospheres of different statuses as far as you being economically wise or family wise, whatever the case may be. But the government, they want you to keep a certain way, but those are higher ups, so obviously enjoy the privileges. And it's been going on for a long time. We're just now people are understanding it. But if you're too woke to say that you're crazy, too much, this and that, they might accuse you of something. If you act like you know what's going on, you don't know enough. If you don't know nothing, you're informed. If you're informed, you might be misinformed. So it's a mess these days. At the same time, you got to stay on top of what's going on and do your own research and think for your own, but still read everything. Read all books. Read books that were, taught a while ago. Get, articles. Do your research. Yeah, you can watch online, believe online, but don't believe every single thing you see, because some stuff is also maybe biased these days.
Marius commented back in. So we are paying that stimulus money back through inflation. That's free. Yes, that's really true.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point too.
We're paying more for gas. We're paying more for grocery products at the store.
It's more now.
We're paying more. Dude, car insurance is going up to do with inflation. I heard it in Philadelphia. Now I know we have a carjacking issue and car theft issue in Philadelphia right now, so I'm not sure if that affects it. But I don't know. It could be inflation. They're claiming inflation, but it's crazy. And we're dealing with those repercussions now. You're absolutely right. Good feedback here tonight, guys. All right. So one of the other ones I wanted to get to, one of the other ones I wanted to get to was beware of the
points
media.
so far, by the way. Some really good points.
Yeah, very good points. So, beware of the media, right? I mean, I think that one's obvious. It kind of goes to the authority figure side of it. Yeah. If you don't like being deceived, you don't like being misled, controlled, you sincerely want better for your life, start to use critical thinking and really question things. And honestly, draw your own conclusions. Don't just believe what people tell you. As I said, people see somebody on the television and they tell them something. And if you believe, if you're for the right or the left, whatever, and people tend to believe if you support the right, and that's nothing is going to sway you, right? You F the left, I'm all right. You're going to believe everything the right tells you, like on these networks.
You're going to be brainwashed, in other words.
If you're on the left, it's the same thing. Oh, I have the right.
Or left or right, exactly. And they're going on for a long time.
Left. Yeah, and then they'll believe everything that those people say. It's crazy when you have discussions with people that they were educated people that and they still fall victim to this trap. It's crazy. Like some of the most educated people I know fell into this trap. I don't agree with everything the right does, and I don't agree with everything the left does. Just like in life, you can have friends and not agree with everything they do. That's okay. That's okay. That's actually good. You need to use critical thinking. Just because they're your friend, it's like when your friend does something and it's not good, but you just agree with them because you don't want to say anything, or you're afraid of saying something upsetting the person because you don't have the courage to think for yourself or question something. It's a problem. You should always be able to use critical thinking, but for the purposes of the media, I'll tell you, honestly, question things. Use critical thinking. Draw your own conclusions. Truth seekers don't accept anything on faith alone. They don't. So if you are a truth seeker, you should not just be accepting it off of blind faith that what that person is telling you is true. Always think for yourself. We're in a country where we can think freely.
Free thinking and having the power to do your thing, bro. It's one of the main things in this country. As much as it's like kind of like, a lot of stuff is thrown in the media. It's a this and that. The government's crazy, corrupt. They'll cancel you. It's a patriarchy. People are going to rights. This country gives you a lot of freedom, right? But also imagine living in a time where, and maybe not in this country years ago, but even these days, in some countries it's a little hard. Obviously, they don't got it as good as us. But imagine living in a place where you do what you want to do, bro. You're controlled by everything. That's the only thing. The government controls everything you make. You kind of like, like people are growing up kind of like in communist times or in different regimes, different type of governments. It's kind of tough, You're really stuck in the matrix, but at their disposal, their own way. Like their control, what they want to do. Iran is terrible right now. I want to say something, sort of like throw some positive, good vibes and prayers for a great country like Iran, a great country in the Middle East and Muslim country that's going through a lot right now. So that's a whole other topic and story with its own in politics. But I got friends from Iran and some family that's visited there years ago. So I want to say that. They're going through a lot with women's rights and people are protesting. So I hope that somehow they can, I don't want to say rebel, but just kind of change some reforms in the government by law and be more westernized. But the point I was trying to make was that back in the day, you couldn't do a lot of these things, bro. So imagine, a guy like these days, guys like our age, can go, you can study abroad, you can meet people, you can socialize through social media, go fly out, come here. And in the States, you got it all. But even in most of the Western world, so to speak, but some countries don't have it as easy as us. So those people in those countries might want to come here or change something. But even when you're here in the U.S. or in Canada or somewhere like in the U.K., in France, Italy, in a Western country, it's not that easy because there's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of rules and regulations you got to go by, and some stuff you might not agree with. That you got to be a free thinker. Yeah, go with the system, but just judge carefully. Like I say, bro, judge wisely. You see, trend carefully, and just kind of see and accordingly a little bit. I got to wear my mask here. I got to do this. The job was to get vaccinated. I guess we'll all get vaccinated someday. But if you somehow waited a little bit and what happened? You get lift the ban stuff. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to use my man Kyrie Irving for it, but he's a good example. He waited. He said, "No, I ain't doing this. Fuck all that. I ain't doing it. That's it. You can take me off." My man don't care, bro.
James, Jim commented in, but it says Tyler's in the building supporting you, bro.
Thank you, Tyler. Jim, what's up, my man? Jimmy G. It's Thao talking, probably they're both watching. Shout out to my peoples there, my girls out there, Tao and them, my guys. We got my man Marius in the mix. Yep, we got a lot of people watching, man. I mean, it's actually a pretty good, so far it's a good episode. But like I said, bro, it really comes down to the communist times. People gonna do it, but even like in the '70s, teenagers or not teenagers, but guys, like young adults, people like individuals, guys and girls, male and female, especially males though. Like in the '60s and '70s, they were like over the age of 21. It was a little harder. You know what I mean? It was a little. You consider more an adult than at 20-some years old, but it was a little hard. It wasn't like you didn't enjoy some of the stuff and gratuities, and stuff that we have now. Some of the conveniences, accommodations, commodities, right?
Exactly.
It's luxurious now more than ever, but you got to make sense of a lot of things, and you got to, try to, be involved in politics, vote a little, but don't get too involved. Like, it's making you go crazy. If you're spinning and you're having like a helicopter, it means you've been talking about it too much or watching too much.
Exactly. Yeah, good points there, man. Great points. A lot of feedback in here tonight. Appreciate it. One of the biggest ones I want to get to, just before we're a little bit too close for time, I want to hit on this one because it's one of the biggest ones. Developing mindfulness, I think, is one of the most essential things if you want to break away from the matrix, because it really allows you to step outside and really understand the larger scope of things in life. And it's really important. You'll be able to consciously and spontaneously respond to what happens to you instead of reacting unconsciously out of habit. A lot of times we react certain ways and we look at things certain ways, and we don't even recognize we're doing it. It's a habitual thing that we do every single day. So you might question, how do you develop mindfulness? Some of the most obvious ways, as we've talked about on this podcast, is you can use meditation practices. Now, I know a lot of people will tell me, they don't have the time to meditate. They don't have the time to. You could literally meditate for 5 minutes. I know people, they work in an office or a hospital, and they'll go out to their car on lunch and take 5 minutes to meditate and really just see things in. You make time for the things that are important, and it's not really an excuse that you can't find 5 minutes out of your day to meditate. But there are other ways to do it too. You can also journal your thoughts down. Honestly, journal down how you're feeling that morning, or like how you're going to start your day, or how you thought after a long day. Really just taking account different things. A lot of times we react to other people's actions a lot of times, so you need to really just become conscious of what you're doing and make sure you're not reacting in a negative way because of how somebody else is acting towards you. Don't allow other people to infest your energy. Jim,
I like that. Infest your energy. Don't let them crush your energy or take you, of course, and throw your peace of mind off.
Exactly.
It can't be around too many negative people, negative things. We gotta just separate, just walk away when you see like stupid shit that just doesn't pertain to you. It's dead energy, dead vibes, just shit in the air. It's just kind of whack. You feel like you can't really breathe around there. Don't follow the sheeps. Good comment by Jim.
Says don't follow the sheeps. So don't follow sheep, and also don't be a sheep. So don't just blindly follow. Honestly, separate yourself from the pack and think for yourself. Don't just honestly follow along with everybody else. What it really comes down to is most people don't have the courage because they want to fit in. They want to be accepted. And people don't really recognize is that when you do break away from that is when you feel most fulfilled. Because if you are just following people and it isn't really true to what you really believe, you're not going to be happy. You're honestly going to be depressed. You're going to be upset. You're going to live life in an angry, upset way because you're not following how you truly feel. When you truly break from that, have the courage to break from those shackles, that's when you're happy. So this is self-awareness. Open your eyes, see what you see now. What can you do as of this moment to make your life better? Breathe in 3 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds. It's very true. It's a good point. Good instructions right there. So take note, guys. For sure. And it goes towards mindfulness. You essentially, with mindfulness, is you want to try to reconnect with your true self. It's not going to allow you to, it will not only allow you to discover a sense of inner peace, but it's also going to allow you to be intrinsically connected with the rest of your life instead of a discrete, separate ego, essentially, I would say. You know what I mean? When it comes to mindfulness. I
want to add on to that, bro. I think some of the successful ways to, live a stress-free life and not to get caught up too much in the media, the matrix, life's issues. Life is as hard as it is, just without that. But that's just part of what you are. Because life is not you in a room, like whatever, like you're not in a fucking cave anymore. You know what I mean? Half naked, like in prehistoric times. But you're not also in a room the whole day. You close and watching TV. You might be, but you're still out there. Everything reflects what you're gonna do in your room. If the lights go up because you pay the bills, what happens? You can't watch TV now, right? If you didn't wash your clothes or whatever, your clothes might, they might start to get wrinkled and rusty. It's, you can't go to the store. If the store's closed down, everything's controlled. So how you interact with the world and how you see and do your research can lead you to a lot, to have sort of like a peace of mind, live a certain way, or your own demise. And if you get caught up too much in the politics within, everything, like not politics in like actual politics, I'm saying politics of everything together, of workforce, of school, institutions, society, of the community, and all that. It can also it can drain you. I mean, but it can help you. So it's good to understand what's going on, see it, but also kind of like see it from afar and try to, not to get too involved in everything. And if you do, adapt the best you can, because those that actually are involved in that, they go through a lot. I mean, politicians, they say all lie, leave, everybody, big doctors got to go through a lot. It's a lot of adversities everybody got to go through. You go through adversity, they go through it to their job. Your job, it's all stress too. My job is full stress. My line of work, all the jobs I do, everything is full of stress in there. You got to cope with that, but also understand that you could eliminate out of those things by, doing things like having a peace of mind, balance, sleep more, the right hours, work out more, release stress, be more of a thinker, value things the way you should value, reach out to people that you haven't talked to in a while, friends that really been there for you, pick your friendships, right, pick your poison right,
Exactly. That's all the point.
I think all this connects to what you're saying, bro. I just want to kind of like add on a few details.
Make it from a personal level. I completely get it. One of the last points I want to hit here is choose your food carefully. Choose what you consume carefully. And I don't mean consume like through your mind, what you consume through your body for your physical health. A lot of times we look at food as pleasure, and we don't really look at it as fuel. It's okay to indulge in things that you enjoy, but you want to be able to, more times than not, be able to just fuel your body rather than just enjoy your food for pleasure. You can enjoy things that are tasty and are still good for you, but you want to ultimately look at, is this food going to make me be able to perform at my top peak? Like, am I really going to be able to contribute to this life in a top form if I consume this? A lot of the food that we eat in this country specifically is filled with sugar and preservatives, and our portion sizes in this country tend to be a lot larger. If you go overseas, you'll notice that depending on the country you go to, the portion sizes are usually smaller. A lot of the European countries compared to over here, how we eat as Americans, it's we have a lot of issues with heart health. We have a lot of issues with diabetes. It's a problem in this country. Obesity is a big thing. It's if you don't, you can also honestly be mindful of what you believe in. So, what do I mean by that? Some people choose to be vegan. Some people choose to be vegetarians. Some people choose to be meat eaters. Be true to what you truly believe in. If somebody tells you to be, a vegan, right, but you enjoy consuming meat and you have no problem with it from a moral and ethical standpoint, continue to consume meat. Now, if other people around you eat meat and you don't like the idea of animals being killed, be true to who you are. You're vegan, be vegan. I'll be honest, from a personal level, I'm not vegan. I believe that, meat is used as fuel. And I think that you can, I choose to eat meat, and that's my personal choice. I'm not just going to follow somebody else because somebody else tells me to be vegan, or somebody else tells me, go on keto. Other people to go on keto, and then they tell you, you got to go on keto, or somebody might follow a certain diet and be like, yo, get off keto. Like, don't just listen to what other people tell you. Really make an informed decision. Really do your research on things before you decide to follow something. And you know what your moral beliefs are. And don't just blindly follow what somebody else is telling you to do just to fit in. That question, is this going to contribute to my life in a better way? And so it says the Matrix has an agenda to position your life in a certain way. As men, we must dominate our life to the point where we are planning and creating the life that we want for ourselves, not the life that the Matrix wants for you. And I think that might be one of the most important comments of the night on here. So this is essentially the entire thing that we've kind of walked through here. So society has a certain way that it wants to position you. It wants you to act a certain way. But the outliers in this world are the ones who are the most successful in terms of their wealth, in terms of their health, in terms of the relationships they build with others, because they don't tolerate bullshit. They don't tolerate people who are toxic and infest their energy. I used that earlier. You need to create the life that you want. Absolutely, you need to create the life that you want. Don't live a life for somebody else. We only get a short time here, and to be honest, you could die any day. I've lost loved ones close to me, and you never saw it coming. So honestly, take advantage of the time you have here. Take advantage of the time you have here. And question things. Is this contributing to the betterment of my life in the direction that I want to go to? There's no reason. There's nothing wrong with removing people from your life to tell you that if they constantly tell you after you told them to stop, telling you should not do this and you should not do that. I don't like that you live your life this way. You live your life the way that you want to live your life. And what your purpose is. Follow your purpose.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't agree with that, then guess what? You can just wish them the best, and you could say, "Hey, look, you know, we had a great run, and I wish you nothing but the best. But look, I can't have that type of energy around."
You don't need the kind of stuff for energy sometimes, bro. You know,
and it's not that you
don't want to mix everybody, especially for business and to be successful.
Exactly.
You can still love him from far, though. Still see him every now and then, just not as much, connection or contacting them. But I mean, you can still reach other people, like I said earlier, like months later, or even a year later. Especially if you depending how cool you stay with them, because you shouldn't be separated because you guys have differences, like in some kind of business. But when it comes to live and how I see live, and if you don't like the energy brings, see energy in live, bro, it's different. We can a different opinion on like certain things, but when it comes to like the actual like energy and stuff, I mean, if you have like nothing in common, we can barely even mix, then what's the point of really being cool or even being friends like that? Even acquaintances, you might not be, you might be a little cool, here and there, but you don't see the person as much.
Facts, exactly. But
that's because of how life is sometimes.
At the end of the day, it's no ill will. It's no ill will towards the person. It's like, exactly. You might just not. You might fit in someone else's life, but it's a
little better. Or he's the type of person you fit in more. Like say like, yo, my kind of guy, I can hang out with this dude. This guy's I don't know if I can really hang out with him. Some people can work with better though. Like I'm sure me and you both are friends that we can chill with them. Like we're cool friends, but to work it's a little different. But maybe I don't know about working. But this is a lot too, because like laziness and the inability to kind of start and go for things and procrastination. I mean, it's not good, but I mean, no matter where. We have some jobs we despise, but you just do your best, you know what I mean? So, but then you have people that you probably can work with good, but you really kind of couldn't hang out with, or there's a reason why, or you just feel like it just doesn't mix like that. But you might hang out with them one time, and maybe like in a big event you see them. That's fine, like you said. When it comes to good business, you gotta have a lot of like key points that you guys connect, and like there's a lot like in common ground, and have the same vision is really important. When it comes to friendship, also have some kind of obviously something in common, but the vision maybe is not exactly the same because you might do this different ways, but still keep the friendship. And obviously, with friendship, sometimes networking comes in hand. You guys will do some hang out and we'll actually like hang out somewhere out of work, we'll do something fun on a vacation, hang out. You go over to somebody's house, you call the person. That's actually friends. You know what I mean? There's differences. In the Matrix, you'll see a lot, but you'll see your friends who they are. And a lot of stuff happens, within the business world, just life itself. Things happen. Experiences, weddings, trips. You know what I mean? You go somewhere, you might see something. You know what I mean? You might meet somebody else. Some a friend of yours can put you on or something. Maybe a friend, doesn't act too well, at an event, but then he says, yo, whatever, man, I was drunk. Like there's a lot. Like I said, man, there's a lot that meets the eye. And but like you said. As far as toxic friends, man, I'm sure we had a few here and there. It's better to let people toxic people beat them. You can let them beat them. That's what I say. I might not turn my back on completely. I just don't want to see them as much and be distant. But I wish them the best. But if it's toxic, I just can't, mix with that anymore. Or do the kind of things or be with the kind of energy. Because I'm somewhere else in life. I'm beyond even a lot of these things. You know what I mean? And in the last year and a half, I grew a lot. But I'm sure all of us have. The podcast itself makes you grow because you got to be keep up there and keep interesting topics. So just this makes you grow. Sort of like blogging activities and career and podcast career, but I mean as a person too. But everything we go through, it's gonna shape you to be better like today or this month or this year than you were 2 years ago. I'm probably, if you ask me, compare me now to like the person I was like sometime in the summer, end of summer, it's been like 6.5 months, and I feel like it's a big difference. You know what I mean? So Things happen.
Yeah.
We grow, older, we learning. You living, you learn.
And I would say when it comes to toxic friends, I wouldn't even really probably keep somebody in the background. I think it's better to just sever the ties.
Yeah.
Toxic energy,
Sometimes you have to.
even keeping them around in the background, it becomes they
That's
can
too
always
much.
find ways to sneak back into your life.
Yeah, it's gotta be like a high and by from far. If you whenever you see him, like you have to see him. Let me just the question, right? Have you ever run into a friend of yours that you're cool with and all that, and everything's good, and now I don't know where he's like getting homeless. He looks like a crackhead, and not to be offensive, like nobody, but like looking like homeless, like what they call a barbon. Being an Italian, barbon is like a homeless basically. But you're one of those guys. You're like, damn, bro, like what happened? You like I have people overcome some addictions, and I might have hooked them up with like, give me a little cash, but yo, for the bus ticket somewhere. But they gotta be willing to learn and leave that kind of stuff. And they weren't that bad, like that off the meters. I'm talking about somebody who's like a cracker, like on the street, like, oh man. It's hard to your back, but sometimes you just gotta let them figure out for themselves, or you just gotta like try to point them. But I mean, sometimes there's much you can do, but you say you just gotta like sever ties. Somebody's really just toxic, and I don't mean somebody's got like a drug issue. I mean just toxic people. You know what I mean? Just
Facts.
you gotta stay away.
Exactly, man.
That for yourself. Without getting too deep in this kind of topic, because this could be a whole other episode on its own, but the laws of the universe, the laws of power, and the rules of the matrix, which also are kind of conjunction to the laws of power and the rules of life, or the laws of life, will tell you that don't try to be too much and do too much for the unfortunate. Avoid the toxic people, unfortunate people like that, people that really are bad to themselves, that can never seem to get it together or can never go far because they'll drag you down sometimes misery. I mean, it's good to help, don't get me wrong. I'm a firm believer. Let me repeat that. I'm a firm believer that you can be a good Samaritan and help people, because I've done it in the past, but you just can't really, with somebody who's really toxic like that, bro, you just gotta let them figure out on their own, bro. They'll drag you, bro. Avoid that shit, bro. Don't even, get caught up and help. Unfortunate. It's actually one of the laws of power, even though kind of like the laws of life, if you will, the universe. Don't mean you can't help people who are unfortunate and give what you can. Again, we talked about earlier, be people that are actually religious. They help people like that that need help, and they do a lot of the kind of things. But this is beyond just that. This is like people that, haven't done it.
Right. I just want to give credit to the last point there about the matrix of the agenda and the position of the world. That was my boy Rob LaVenture on this comment here, and I think it was one of the really, really important ones of the show tonight. So I just wanted to give credit. Of course, we had some good comments in here tonight. We had Tao, we had Rob, we had Marius, we had Layla, we had Bryce.
We got some time.
If I'm missing anybody, I'm missing somebody. But good viewership tonight. We are at the hour mark.
We are about an hour, 3 minutes, but I can spend another 5 minutes. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna put some closing comments on this one and just maybe cap it. This is one that you could we could bring multiple people on here and be able to kind of have a full discussion on this as things. We'll see how things progress in the world. This is a trending topic, so I think this is going to be something that's going to continue to be talked about, and it's something that should be talked about.
Yeah, it's not like one episode. We can actually have not a part 2, but something very similar to this. Like some of like the tricks of the matrix, the illusions, some stuff, like explain a little more in depth. But today was a good one of how to like kind of cope with it, and mechanisms and things you can do to kind of just not let stuff sort of control life, but be more questionable with it. Know your worth, and don't get kind of like controlled or dictated, because they want to change the narrative. They're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. I mean, the way that the world is run, they control it. I mean, companies or other companies, and if you've got a business. Also, one thing I learned, not because of the COVID invasion, everything that happened in between, but just in general, that if you have a business one day, it could be gone the next day, bro. Like we could be here today, shit, by Monday it could be all gone. I mean, and not like you die or nothing. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm talking about like the business. You can lose it all. You can lose a lot of things, millions of dollars. You can lose assets. Things go under. You can get laid off of work. You can lose your job. Obviously, if you lose your life, like you said, you can die tomorrow. I mean, that's true too. That's a big statement, knock on wood. But be grateful. Because tomorrow's not promised, bro. All it's promises, is death, and that you're probably going to die one day. That's the only thing that's really promised. I mean, a good life is not promised unless you make it. You got to create your life a little in a way. You know what I mean? Like
that's why it's important to be humble and practice humility, man. Because you could lose everything.
Humility is very important. Humbleness, being a one with yourself, a piece of yourself. Don't look at yourself as better than others. Always, trying to be, fair and just, and loyal to your folks and your friends and all that, and show love with his dude, bro. All the other guys, again, some rules and codes in the streets. Any life too, it's saying love kills and all that. True too. That's a whole other type of discussion and all the vibe and a whole other night, if you will. But you gotta have love, you gotta respect. It's important. You gotta take responsibility, and we do accountability calls. You and Bill do a lot. Shout out to my man Bill Plymouth, my boy. But we do a lot of stuff like that, and even sometimes meetings. It's good to have a meeting with friends, and reflect on things, talk things out, whether something has occurred or not, even if everything's going well. Sometimes it's good to, kind of like, have some talks like that. It's also good to strengthen, fortify friendships and relations and relationships and, business networks and everything else that comes with that. Partnerships, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Businesses and all that. You got to see this game, bro. They say it's good, bro, to stay 10 steps behind. 10 steps ahead. Don't be 10 steps behind. But sometimes a step ahead is not enough. You got to be 3 or 4 ahead of some of these guys and what's going on here. I mean, again, you're getting that stuff from earlier, bro. Fuck it. The gas is going up. Don't buy too much right now. Just stay a little bit. You can stay without spending and keep your spending habits a little lower. Don't go out too much. If you go out, give them gas. Be responsible with that. Gas seems, and I don't want to jinx it, but it does seem like it's going a little lower. But what happened for the longest? For about a year and a half, almost 2 years. Like right around the time COVID started, gas was up. And he went up even more. So after the fact, because around that time it was still, in 2020 it was still decent, but I want to say late 2020, 2021, it still slowly went up, and for the last almost 2 years it's been up, and now finally maybe late last fall, look at the prices are slowly going down, but only in a matter of a couple of pennies and cents. So it's not like they're going down by much, but let's keep up because gas was close to $2 at one point. Now it's after post 2021 is post 2021, 2021. Now I guess it's $4.50 and it's almost $5. It's supposed to decrease, but it's just too much in the market. You've seen the stocks and everything balanced, bro, and they all connected to what we talked about because inflation, like Mary said earlier, those things, bro, inflation is a motherfucker, bro.
Yes, it is, man. Yeah, it is.
The cost of living, but jobs are not paying enough, and people don't want to work. It's a little messy here. It's good to bring some light to some of these topics, and maybe another topic to talk about, like you talked about last week or the week before that. I missed one episode as far as watching it, but ways to improve your job and stuff and make money and new skills and new job stuff. You know what I mean? Quick ways to fix your credit. I know you talked about that a little. Obviously, with the sports episodes, which were pretty dope because right now it's a great time to be alive and it's a great time to be a Sixers and a Eagles fan, but definitely Eagles fan because they're looking good. So
Exactly.
The Raiders keep it looking nice.
Yeah.
So we do got about 2-3 minutes. I guess we can kind of start slowly. Unless you have any questions for me, bro, you need to talk about it. I think I touched on pretty much the same stuff you touched on, so we're good at most of that, bro. And we talked about life. If you have anything else, we can kind of shoot for it now. Shoot the dice, throw your hand in it. But it's so good to be back, definitely, bro. So
definitely.
Welcome the next minute or so.
Yeah, I'm good to wrap it up. To be honest, due to my schedule, but I'm good with it. Since we're over the hour mark with it, I think that this was an informative topic and something we can touch on in future episodes, man. But welcome back, guys. As I said, subscribe to the content. Let's go Eagles this weekend. Face off against the 49ers. I think they're gonna get the W. I think it's gonna be a close game, but I do think the Eagles are the more talented team, and I think that we will prevail at home. So go
it's at home, bro. We should be able to beat them fairly enough. They could give us a run, and it's not going to be an easy game. I could see it being a pretty close game, and then Super Bowl make it more exciting. But we'll see because it's us and the 49ers, and is the Bengals. Who else is that team, bro?
Bengals and the Chiefs.
Chiefs. Ooh, dude, I'm predicting. I hate to say it like this, bro. Eagles and Chiefs. Super Bowl. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna pick the Eagles and the Bengals because Patrick Mahomes' high ankle sprain I think is going to be a concern, and the Bengals
that is a concern. That's right.
And the Bengals have won the last 3 matchups against the Chiefs. So I'm gonna go with Joe Shiesty over there, Joe Cool, Joe Burrow.
Hang on a second, real quick. You mean the last matchups is in the season or from last year? Talking about just the last 2 meetings.
Last year and this year, they beat them this year. They beat them in the AFC Championship last year too to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I remember the game actually. I remember watching parts of that game back in the AFC Championship. Yeah, you know what though? Hey man, look man, the Bengals they'll be kind of a good one though. Eagles, Bengals in the Super Bowl, bro. Who would have thought that the Bengals could have done so well? Because I don't know, it seemed like they were really counted to go this far this year. The Cowboys, obviously, they lost their chance. They were the AFC Super Bowl contenders last year. So the Bengals definitely, I think, they're in the mix this year. They played hard, man. They were. What was their record? Because I don't remember too much. I didn't watch many of the games. I watched a couple. I know there are a couple of big wins, but their record. What was their record going to in the playoffs? Do you remember it I forget what their record was, but they were the 3rd seed. They were right there for the first and second seed. They were right there. So on and off, you can't say it's not necessarily unfair to say they deserve to be where they're at.
Yeah,
the Cowboys lost the previous round. Giants.
The best 4 teams are still here. So that's
man. We're definitely the best team, hands down. That's undisputable. Everybody knows we're the best team all season. This particular season, this year, 2022, 2023, bro. So it's interesting, bro. I'm definitely excited. But 20 years ago, I used to watch the Eagles, bro. And 20 years later, I'm still watching them, and now we're actually one step away from the Super Bowl. I remember like in 02, 03, 04, we had a good team then. Obviously, in 05, 04, 05 was the year of the Super Bowl that we lost to
Yeah.
England. But again, bro, it's looking good. So we're gonna definitely save some of this talk and some of these points for the next episode and some few episodes. We'll have some of our buddies here, some of our friends in big places, if you know what I mean. Big friends, you know. My man Tank should be coming through again. So
we'll have some good episodes. My
man Nick. We're gonna have some guys coming in, bro. Probably. I know you have a guy too, which you mentioned. So we're gonna be having some, behind the scenes, stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Unfortunately I have to bounce out, so I have to
dip out. Me too, bro. Actually, it's just about time for me. It's about an hour and 11.
I wanna wrap it up. I usually keep our credits at the end, so I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. I just want to say have a good weekend. We'll have our credits rolling for a minute after. But have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you guys back next week for episode 114. Some good guests coming up in the pipeline. Excited for it. Guys, subscribe, follow, like, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 114. Take care, guys. Have a great night, great weekend.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Have a great one. It was good to be back, and peace. Episode 113.